The Magus by John Fowles, a book which, perhaps more than any book I have ever read, really keeps you on your toes. So in 2023, I think it was, I read John Fowles' debut novel, The Collector. I actually have his first three novels, The Collector, The Magus, and The French Lieutenant's Woman, because those three books, like his first three novels, are kind of a trifecta of really highly acclaimed books. And like I say, in 2023, I think it was, I read The Collector. And I was very taken by that book. I thought it was a fantastic work, one of the strongest debut novels I'd ever read. Kind of a twisted thriller and an intensive psychological character study of a lonely, deranged man, but also with quite a bit of socio political commentary on post war England thrown in there, which gave the book a greater depth than it might otherwise have had. So, all in all, I was quite impressed by that book, and I subsequently thus had high hopes for Fowles's sophomore work, The Magus. So, did The Magus live up to those high hopes, though? In a technical capacity, yes. In a subjective capacity, not quite. But I will try to elaborate. So, what actually is the story of the Magus? Well, the Magus is the first person account of one Nicholas Earth, a rather aimless and also rather promiscuous young Englishman in 1950s Britain, who one day strikes up a romance with a young Australian woman named Alison. Things get kind of torrid. They part on maybe not the best terms because he accepts a job in Greece to teach at a boys' school there. So he leaves to go to an island in Greece named Phraxos. And there he makes the acquaintance of a rather mysterious millionaire named Maurice Conscious, who has something of a shadowy past and who is also interested in games, like serious psychological games. And so the plot of the book, and it's quite a plot because this is quite a book. It is 656 pages, I believe. Yeah, 656 pages. It is a mammoth book. And the plot of the book is essentially the narrator, Nicholas Earth, getting caught up in this elaborate conspiracy orchestrated by Maurice Conscious, which subjects him to emotional manipulation and extended, elaborate fictions involving actors and actresses under the employ of Maurice Conscious, which he is never, he as in Nicholas Earth, is never fully aware of the nature of and is never sure where exactly he stands. But he meets some fine ass honeys on this island, two twin girls, one of which he becomes smitten with and kind of two times on, sort of, with the Australian girl, Alison. There's some twists and turns. Oh, good Lord. Twists and turns are pretty much all that this book is comprised of. We're eventually led to believe, as our narrator is led to believe, that Alison takes her own life in a fit of dejection after a visit to Greece to reunite with Nicholas. Kind of ends on a sour note. And so Nicholas kind of throws himself towards this other girl that he's fallen for, but then it's revealed that it's all just this kind of conspiracy, a very wide reaching conspiracy, like ever farther reaching conspiracy, which is apparently perpetrated just to toy with him. We're never sure exactly what the purpose of this game, which is called the God Game, is. Whether it is to study his actions and reactions to create like a profile, or is it some sort of psychological experiment, or is it just entertainment for some rich weirdos? It could be either. We don't know. He doesn't know. It's just this kind of ever evolving, ever expanding conspiracy of the mind and the heart. That's about as much as I think I can say about the plot of the Magus. It is circuitous. I will say that, and like I say, it really keeps you on your toes. Uh, it's it is so long. It is a brick of a book, and the 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 weavings of the plot, it just keeps getting more and more tangled. It really does. Nicholas gets caught up in this um, psycho romantic conspiracy. He is never sure where he stands, but he keeps going. He keeps plowing through, regardless. And we're never sure what the purpose of this all is. It's rather enigmatic, but that's pretty much the plot of the book. So let's talk about like how the how I reacted to the book, and whether I think the book is like good, because like I say, in a technical capacity and in a subjective capacity, my answers would differ. Technically, this book is a marvel, much like the Collector was. The writing in the Magus is roundly excellent. John Fowles was a phenomenal writer. The prose is quite eloquent, quite artful. The characters as well are quite well done. Nicholas is a really human character, and not always in the most positive sense. He is definitely a cad. He's pretty much a tool. Like, he is really just a tool. He just kind of has no real like genuine connection to people, especially women. Like, even when he thinks he does, it's all just kind of a game to him. And so it's kind of a Uno reverse card kind of thing when he in turn gets caught up in this elaborate god game orchestrated by this mysterious millionaire. It's kind of intended to put him in the other person's shoes, kind of, because he is subjected to two-timing and infidelity, which he himself has perpetrated against certain partners before that point in the book. But he is deeply human, like I say, not always pleasantly so, but also the secondary characters are pretty well done too. Maurice Conscious, the enigmatic millionaire who is orchestrating this entire labyrinthine conspiracy, and Allison, Nicholas's significant other, definitely a memorable personality with her, and then as well Lily, the or whatever her real name is, because it changes back and forth so much throughout the book. The girl on the island that he kind of becomes smitten with. It's it's roundly, in a technical sense, an excellent book. It really is. The writing's great. The characters are great. So let's talk about how I reacted to the book, and why, for me, this book just wasn't really the book for me. The Magus just wasn't really the book for me. I enjoyed it substantially less than I did the Collector, even though I can still appreciate its craftsmanship. So the entire book is just it's just it's kind of like you just can't trust anything. It's like the conspiracy. It's just everything that's happening, is bullshit. And the main character of the book is just a glutton for punishment. Like, speaking strictly for me, they ain't no tale that's fine enough to draw me into the kind of nightmarish mousetrap maze thing that he is drawn into, and that he keeps going back to repeatedly, because it's insane. He is a true glutton for punishment. He just keeps going back, and the book just keeps going on and on. And like, there's a point where you're kind of just like, yeah, like, we know this is all just lies. Like, we know that none of this is genuine, that it's just another level of the game. And so we're kind of just watching this hapless schmuck stumble his way through this god game. And after a time, I kind of just checked out. It was just kind of the same thing over and over and over. Like, uh, the book is long, very long, but I don't know that it really needed to be because it's just so repetitive. It is very repetitive. It's just kind of the same. It's just like, it's kind of like a one trick pony in a way. It's just the same kind of shtick done over and over again. Nicholas falls for this girl on the island, then there's some kind of zany episode which is part of the conspiracy, and then he's like, I want the truth, damn it. Who are you? What is your nature? What is your function here? What are you up to? And then she's like, okay, I'll tell you, but it's all lies and bullshit. And then it happens again, and he's like, I want the truth. She's like, okay, I'll tell you. And then it's just kind of that over and over and over for 656 pages. And like I say, for me, after about the halfway mark, I was just kind of done with this book. I was like, it's just repetitive and so drawn out and slow, and it's not that profound. Like the collector, as I said, has some. It has a serious layer of socio-political commentary to it about post-war England, and this has a little bit of that, like somewhat, but it's much less than that book. And in its place, we're just kind of left with this um, ongoing narrative, which we know is like duplicitous, and after a point, it just kind of wore out its welcome with me. On the back of the book here, it says, selected by the Modern Library as one of the 100 best novels of the 20th century. No, no. No, not for me. This book is good, like technically, objectively, it is a very well crafted book. But is it one of the 100 best books of the 20th century? Like, really, really, is it that good? I don't think so. And also another thing is, there's a blurb here by one Elliot Fremont Smith from the New York Times, and this doesn't really pertain to the book, but it just kind of struck me as humorous. It says, Elliot Fremont Smith says, read it in one sitting if possible, but read it. Really, Elliot Fremont Smith, read a 656 page book in one sitting? Really? Like, I mean, I would love to have that much time um, to read. That just struck me as like comical. Read this big ass brick of a book in one sitting. Hell no. But that's kind of just my reaction to the work. Like, it's a technically almost flawless book, no doubt, but it wasn't a very enjoyable read. And the way it ends as well, like it ends on this kind of romantic um, climax. It's almost like some kind of romantic cliffhanger where Allison, whom Nicholas had thought for quite some time was dead. Uh, he learns that she's not dead, and then he's kind of waiting to meet her again because she, along with like every other human he interacts with in this book, is involved in this conspiracy, which is apparently just a conspiracy against him. Again, the nature of these events and how they're perpetrated, it's never explicitly explained how this all works, but like at the end of the book, he meets up with her again, and they're trying to like work things out. Like, why would you? Like, I get it. He's a douche. Like, he is. He's like a total douchebag, and he did treat her badly. But like, I mean, in the words of Meatloaf, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. There comes a time where it's just like, whatever sins I've committed, I've paid for. Like, I ain't putting myself through that for ain't no lady worth what he goes through to get with her. And so the end of the book, it's kind of ambiguous, and it ends with in lines in a foreign language, which I was not able to decipher. So I guess I don't really know what happens precisely at the end. But by the time I got there, I didn't really care. It had just worn out its welcome. Even though I can appreciate the skill that went into this book, it's very long. It's very, very repetitive. And like I say, there comes a point where I was just like, I really do not care what happens to any of the characters in this book, even though they are pretty well developed and even though the story is well told. I just couldn't be bothered to care after a time. So, objectively, I'm going to give the Magus an A, a flat A. Maybe not quite a full unqualified A plus, because I do think that this book perhaps was a teensy bit longer than it needed to be, because it is a mammoth book. But in terms of the writing, it's great. In terms of the characters, they're great. It's a very well done book, but just one that I didn't really jive with. So, like I say, objectively, I'm giving it an A. Subjectively, I would give this book like a C plus. It's initially intriguing, but then the intrigue eventually wears thin, and what you're left with is a very long, very repetitive book that ends in a way that I didn't really fully grasp, and which I didn't really care to grasp, honestly. So, like I say, objectively A, subjectively like C plus. So yeah, The Magus by John Fowles. Have you read The Magus? If you have, let me know down in the comments what you thought about it, whether you have agreed or disagreed with anything I've said about it here today. And if you haven't read The Magus, I could recommend this. Like I say, in a technical sense, it's fantastic. If you like high quality literary fiction, this is definitely in that category. But if you want something that's, I don't know, a little less convoluted, this is one of the most convoluted things I've ever read, and it ultimately didn't really pay out that satisfactorily for me. So I could recommend this to certain readers out there, but I think there's a lot of people out there that just won't get into this, of which I'm perhaps one. But anyway, if you have enjoyed anything you've seen or heard here today, remember to hit that like button and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And until next time, peace.